biggest disappointment and biggest surprise, a pleasant surprise by the Bengals this year so far in through 3 weeks?
I'll go biggest disappointment. I think the obvious answer is what a lot of but I'm just going to go D-line in general. I think, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, you can throw the pro or whatever people on draft Twitter are saying about Dunlap and Geno Atkins still being really effective, but I think getting those sacks is something you just have to do as a defensive line, as a unit. And it's not on one person at all. It's on the entire unit. They're not stopping the run as well as they did last year. They're not turning and converting those pass rush opportunities into sacks. And anything short of a sack is just a missed opportunity. So I'm just going to go defensive line in terms of biggest disappointment. Biggest surprise, I mean, obvious answer here, I'll go Drake Patrick. I mean, he has the physical tools he has the makeup to be a top 10 corner in the NFL. And I don't think that's out of his range, or I should say, I don't think that's out of the equation for him as a guy coming up in the future, especially under the tutelage of, Kevin Coyle, who turned Jonathan Joseph and Leon Hall into the best cornerback tandem in the NFL, and playing opposite a guy like Adam Jones, who is, as most of us know, one of the biggest film buffs in the NFL of any player. So I think that just seeing Dre, and it's not just from the pick, it's just that he played well. Like, he's been playing well for 3 weeks. He doesn't have the 11 pass breakups that Marcus Peters has, but he's given up one touchdown, and it was in absolutely great coverage that you really couldn't expect anything more of him to do. So that's why I'm going to go. And he had one touchdown last season too, allowed. So far 2 touchdowns allowed in the past 2 seasons, not too shabby.
Scott, biggest disappointment and biggest pleasant surprise of the Bengals this year?
Biggest disappointment, I was, and apparently it's a big disappointment because me and Connor were thinking the same thing, pass rush. And he took the defensive side, which is on pace for like half of what they're on last year. So
2014 numbers.
They're on pace for 21. Last year they had 42 sacks. So I'm going to look as biggest disappointment on the offensive side. Giving up 12 sacks in 3 games, which is on pace for 64 sacks this year. The last 2 years, Dalton's only been sacked 41 times. So you have to add the last 3 years to get a number as big as they're on pace for this year. And he's being sacked on almost 10% of passing plays, which for a line that's supposed to be pretty good, where Whitworth, was all pro last year. He finally got the recognition. We like to say good things about Bowling and Zeitler, and, Bodine is Bodine. But he hasn't looked as Bodine-ish in every game this year. But
Bodine-ish.
He's like better.
Is that an adjective, Bodine-ish?
I think for us it can be until we get sued by the Bengals.
That's what's crazy. He's played better this year, and the line's gotten worse. I just think Whitworth looked human, which is crazy.
And I'm going to say biggest surprise is after the first game, so I'm kind of limiting it to 2 games, is the rushing defense. Because after the first game, seeing Old Man Forte kind of gouge us. I like that we've given up 0 rushing touchdowns, and we've held D'Angelo Williams and C.J. Anderson to 131 yards, no touchdowns, and 2.8 yards a carry. And these were guys coming into those games who were pretty good. And
they're both hot too.
Yeah, so I think that's a very positive. Is that as much as they just can't seem to get the quarterback, they are doing a good job at stopping opposing defensive or opposing running backs. It is getting late, and have one of the only 2 teams to give up 0 touchdowns. So I do have one weird surprise I just want to throw in. I'll be really quick. Try to keep it 140 characters. We were mostly all excited when Brandon Tate was let go because Alex Erickson looked great in preseason, and we're going to give Adam Jones's chance to return punts. This year, Alex Erickson is averaging 6.3 yards per return. Adam Jones is averaging 6.3 yards per return. Last year, Brandon Tate, 6.3 yards per punt return. You look at kick returns, Erickson, Jones, and Burkhead have all returned kick returns this year. All of them are averaging less than what Tate did last year. So maybe it's more of a disappointment. It's also kind of a shock that they all have the same punt return average.
That might speak more to the unit than the player. And you kind of stole my thunder a little bit there, Scott, but that's okay because you're a good guy, and I'll let you do
as
that.
far as you know.
Yeah. Just real quickly, I'm gonna say biggest pleasant surprise for me, and I hope to the Lord above that I do not jinx the guy, but I mentioned him just a few minutes ago. Mike Nugent. He's 7 of 8 so far this year. One miss was from, I believe, 50 plus or 50 yards or so in New York. But since then, he has been a very solid. He's been basically the most consistent weapon on the Bengals. I mean, even though he's special teams, he's been their most consistent point getter for the team. And he's 7 of 8 on the year and 5 of 5 on his extra points. So, and extra points now are no longer gimmies, given the rule changes over the past couple of years. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say he's kind of my pleasant surprise so far this year. And you mentioned Hunt. He is one. Will Clark is another as well. Both those guys have come in and played pretty well as rotational guys. I think also as disappointments, you guys, spoke perfectly on the offensive line and all that kind of stuff. I hate to pinpoint one guy, but I'm going to say Sean Williams. I think you give him the big deal. He showed some progress last year, and then this year he's got 2 dropped interceptions already. He's been out of position on certain plays that have led to touchdowns. Not very pleased with what I've seen from him. Scott, to piggyback on what you said, I have been very, very disappointed with the kick and punt return games this year. And it's not just Alex Erickson, it's Adam Jones. He's credited with a fumble that probably shouldn't have been last week, but he's not popping the big returns that we've become accustomed to. Rex Burkhead had a pedestrian, I believe, 20-yard average last week on kick returns. And granted, those are more difficult now, given some rule changes there. But that's a unit that has always, if for some reason the Bengals offense has sputtered over the past couple of years, the special teams has always seemed to rise to the occasion and given a good return, and everybody has wanted to run Brandon Tate out of town. And now not because of that, but you're seeing a bunch of guys combine for not really great results. So hopefully that picks up.